There are two kinds of midwives in this world. The ones that stay in the system because they are scared. They feel like they have no choice. And the ones who wake up one day and just decide, actually, no, women deserve better. I deserve better. And I'm just going to fucking build whatever that is. And the woman that I am about to bring on live, she chose the second path. Thank God. Thank God. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And what she has created is nothing short of show-stopping. Listen, I flew business class to Miami from Paris last week. And the way that you feel when you are being taken care is next level. But the care that this woman has created within her midwifery practice is like flying private. She's created a practice that people rave about before they've even booked, before they're even pregnant, a diary that fills itself, and a six-figure business. She's done it. She is a six-figure midwife, a six-figure business that has built so quickly that it actually makes my head spin, never mind anybody else's. But she did not do this by waiting to feel ready. She didn't have a perfect plan. She just decided she was going to back herself. And in this live today, she's going to talk about exactly what that looked like. We are going to get into the strategy, the mindset, the standards, the moves that she made. And you are going to walk away from this live feeling differently. I promise you. I know you are. And I am ridiculously proud to call this woman, I'm going to get her up in a second, this woman, not just a client, but a friend. Let us bring on the one and only legendary. Yeah, and let's go live together. Where is she? Oh my God, I'm so excited. Good morning.
Good morning.
How did it feel listening to that intro? You
That
did
was
that.
wild. It was wild. I was like, do I cry? Do I need to do a countdown? Do I need to do some grounding work? But yeah, it's wild. When you hear it said by somebody else, it's wild.
It
Yeah,
is wild, isn't it?
it is. It really is.
So, first of all, thank you, darling, so much, because I know you're a busy bee, for coming and doing this live. Live with Legends, this series is called. We've already had Emma, the naked doula. You're next up. There are more legends on the way that are going to be spilling the secrets of what they've been up to behind the scenes of their businesses. I have questions so that I don't go too far off piece and I get all the, extract all of the juice from you.
Yeah.
But so for anyone that doesn't know you yet, I would love you to share a little bit of who you were before the private jet bougie version of your midwifery practice existed. Like, tell me who you were before all of this.
So I guess we have to go back to a future version of myself that feels like a stranger. um, And most people who follow me over on my little corner of the gram won't believe it, but I was full of good girl syndrome, and there was lots of fear-based, reactive behavior going on. For full professional context, I have been a midwife for a decade now, officially a decade. But my practice has always kind of been influenced a little bit on the, let's say, alternative side. It always kind of went down the road of going above and beyond for the people that I worked with and alongside. And I always sought out to learn from other midwives who were doing things differently. So there's been a little bit of a theme about that. But when it comes to my clinical care and the person that I was prior to setting up the Your Private Midwife brand, I was very much like, do as you're told, turn up to work, do the things that we do, complete the shift pattern, get through the day kind of vibes. And I just got to a point where that just wasn't good enough for me and for the women that I was caring for. It wasn't going to cut it.
Tell me, that's a perfect segue into my next question. Tell me, can you remember the moment, or was it accumulation that you were like, right, I can't stay here anymore. I have to do this my way?
Yeah, oh yeah, I can literally pinpoint it for you. It was on a canal boat in Hebden Bridge
Love.
at a home birth.
No way. Oh my God, I've been on a canal boat home birth back in the day in
Of
Yorkshire.
course, because our paths are so woven together. Under a Christmas tree, which was beautiful, and it was a beautiful birth, and it was lovely. But I also was really aware that I had my own babies at home that were like, Santa's going to come in the morning and Mum's not going to be there.
Oh,
And part of me was
Jesus.
like, this is just part of what we do as midwives, and I get that. However, the crux of the matter for me was I rang back to the hospital that I was working for and said, "Hi guys, we've had a baby, we've had a placenta, I'm going to be back with the equipment. I'll see you in about half an hour." And nobody even knew I was there. It had not been handed over that I was out at the birth. And I just kind of looked around me in the sparseness and was like, I could be at the bottom of a canal right now and
Literally.
nobody would know. Nobody would know that I was here. And I kind of took this deep breath moment and was like, there has got to be a way to do this differently where I feel completely fulfilled so that I can then fulfill the needs of the families that I'm working for.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, it was that was kind of the first domino to fall, and it took about 4 months because we obviously have to work a notice, but
Yeah.
it was big and brave for me to like pull my socks up and go, this is not okay anymore. And yes, we'd come out of a global pandemic. We were still in the mask wearing era where nobody really knew what I looked like. But yeah, I just came out the other side of that experience and was like, there's got to be a different way for me to live my life. And actually, if I go right back to that, when I handed my notice in and was like, I'm done working in this way, I was done being a midwife at that point. I was going to go
Really?
sell
It
face
wasn't like,
cream.
oh, I'm going to make this, do it over here.
No,
You were just like,
no.
I'm out.
I'm out. I was out. I was like, I worked hard. I've done what I needed to do, but I'm out. I can't do this anymore. I will go and sell face cream. Because at that point, selling skincare would have earned me the same as what I was
Yeah.
earning as my band six midwifery post was. So
Yeah.
I was
So for
like,
context, you were doing Temple Spa, weren't you, as
yeah, yeah, yeah.
well? And you were like, there's an easier way of making
Yeah,
fucking money.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. There is always an easier way of making money than
I mean, yes.
and so for me it was just like, I can't, this is not serving any of us. Like I always, that we'll go back to the airplane theory. You have to put your own oxygen mask on before you can
Oh,
help any other, pardon my French, fucker in the world. So I needed to do that. And my own kids and my husband were never, I mean, don't get me wrong, the last 2 weeks they haven't seen a lot of me just because everybody has had a baby.
yeah.
But I wasn't seeing them. I was working at home. I constantly had my computer on my knee because I couldn't catch my breath in my professional mainstream role. It just wasn't possible. Whereas face cream selling sounded way easier. So that's what I was going to do.
So, what was the moment? Was there a specific experience, again, that flipped the switch from like, I'll just go sell face cream and like easy life type vibes? I mean,
Yeah.
it's not easy, but like choosing that route rather than what I don't think anybody would disagree that setting up a business of any description where you've got to like find your own lead, you've got to market yourself, you've got to do all these things, but also there's not like tons and tons and tons of evidence out there that like in Temple Spa, there's lots of evidence that works, right? Loads of evidence. But even at this point in time, you're a rare little unicorn breed, you in particular, but like independent midwives across the board, even like globally, you're a tiny, tiny fraction and a tiny, tiny number of people that, the kind of like maternity services landscape across the board. Was there a specific moment again or experience that like got you thinking, right, this is a nice idea to be able to just practice how I'd like to practice, feel safe, be able to choose whatever the things were that you desired from your practice to being like, right, I'm doing it. I'm fucking doing it.
So for again, full disclosure, I had independent midwifery care for both my babies. So I knew how good the good was.
Yeah.
Like
You knew the
I
good shit. She
I
was
know the
like,
good shit.
You know the
I
good shit.
I put my hand in. Well, my husband put his hand in his back pocket and prayed. We'll come to that. But yeah, I knew how good this could be, and I actually don't know how the worlds collided. But you always tell us, and everybody who watches any of my stuff will know that the universe always is like showing us, however you believe that is, God, being, spirit, whatever that is. There's always a pathway to lead. So I was teaching hypnobirthing classes anyway, as even when I was an NHS midwife.
Yeah.
And I left and was getting messages from people saying, "Do you do anything else? Like, do you do care?" And I kind of was like, "Well, I guess I could, as soon as I'm trained to do it." And then like Sarah Fitzsimmons and Jenny over at My Independent Midwife kind of fell into my world, and we just kind of collided on social media. And Sarah had said to me, because in order for us to practice in the way that we do here in the United Kingdom, we have to have a certain stipulation of insurance.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that, and My Independent Midwife did. And they were like, "We'll do the birth care, you do all the other stuff." I was like,
Yeah.
"Great, this
Totally.
works." However, when you've cared for a family all the way through their pregnancy, and I'm talking like this family had booked me at 4 weeks pregnant,
Yeah.
and you've cared all the way through, and then somebody else is going to be at the birth and you're not going to be there. Well, I was not prepared to miss out on that show. So I like scrambled really quickly, did all the things that I needed to do to tick the boxes to get my insurance sorted.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of attended the birth as an apprentice.
Right.
And something in me like cracked wide open and was like, well, I guess this is what I'm doing now.
I love it.
And that was the first domino to fall. That baby has just he's not even a baby now. That baby
Yeah.
is just, he turns 2 on the 31st of August. So it has been a whirlwind journey from there. Like that first domino fell, and I hadn't even booked my own clients at that point. And I was like, right, we're doing this. So yeah, I just stopped, and I just got to a point where I was like, I have to stop standing in muddy puddles by doing the work that I was doing, to actually step out of that fully and fully commit to being a solo practitioner and an independent midwife, and like stepping into that identity. I just had to make the decision that it had to work.
Yeah, yeah. That's a really good, another like seamless segues into all of my questions, obs, because we just vibe always. So we're told this story that like there's security in like paid employment, and that entrepreneurship is risky, which you know it is. The dictionary definition of entrepreneurship is something along the lines of like you know, investing financially, taking financial risks for like financial gains kind of thing. It's something along those lines. And so like it is risky, that's just what it is. What did you have to believe about like setting up that private practice that could take you from thinking, right, security looks like this, to there's potential security over here?
Mm-hmm. It's a big old leap. It was a big old leap, but I think because I'd done it myself, so I knew I had proof that people wanted more than what was
Yeah.
possible, because I had done it myself. So like I can stand here as a midwife who has been where my clients have been.
Oh my
Like,
God, that is so powerful.
yeah, and nothing but the best. Like Bougie Bailey doesn't do anything but. But I knew that there were people out there. I also had, like, we'd created this perfect storm in mainstream services where, you know, the pandemic hit, all the rules started to crack down, and women just weren't being heard. We had no voice left. We were just following the rules because that's what we were being conditioned to do. And I'm not really a rule follower. Never have been.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just had this like internal knowledge that like, where like we say this, don't we? Where there's one, there's many. If there's one person, and even if I was the only one person who was prepared to put my money where my mouth was, there has to be more of me. I'm not like, I'm not a lone ranger. Well, no. Sometimes I am, but like there was something in me, and I had to grasp onto that something it wasn't tangible. It wasn't like money on a spreadsheet. It wasn't coin in the bank. There was a knowing that there was more out there.
Yeah.
And I had to trust that that was going to continue to flow to me, even on the days that it wasn't, like, the tap was not turned on. I had to just
Yeah.
trust that it was going to come. And it was hard. It was not an easy. I mean, you posted it in the stories, didn't you? I didn't exactly choose to do this at an easy point in life. My husband, who has always been the sole provider for our entire 20 years together, he has always been bankrolling this bougie life
Yeah.
of mine. He had literally just left his job.
Yeah.
He just handed his notice in. And I hadn't even booked my first client when that happened. He handed his notice in the morning, and on that evening, the first person had gone, yeah, let's pay in full. So, I mean, that in itself is a bit wild.
It is crazy, like it's so wild. What did people, and I know, like, so for context, Bill is married to Superman, and we all love Superman. No, but her husband literally looks like Superman.
It's why my little boy's called Clark.
I know they've literally named their son Clark, which is still one of my favourite facts about you to this day. And also, my husband used to work with your husband. When we found each other, we were like, wait, what? Hey, and then we started connecting all these dots. I was like, yeah, my husband is your husband Superman? She was like, yeah. Anyway, so like you say, the universe is God, the universe, spirit, all of that stuff is always like working around us. I know that Superman is like your biggest fan and cheerleader, but he's also, when he's not being Superman, when he's like being Clark Kent, he's also a human being, and you're surrounded by human beings. What did people around you say, like colleagues, friends, family, when you were like, this is what I'm doing? Like, how did you hold your nerve when, because I'm sure there were people that did, even if it wasn't, those like directly connected to you. How did you hold your nerve when people were like, you're doing what? And either didn't get it or allowed their projections of what felt risky to them to, like, to basically dump on you?
I guess I had a little bit of a buffer because I had left the muddy puddle, as I like to refer to it, before I had really set up in private practice. But the one thing that I always get, and I think this is just a narrative, Lisa, in like the physiological birth space and the home birth community, is that people just think we're brave. Like, God, you must be brave to do that. Oh, I couldn't be on call all the time. Oh my goodness. But like, there's a lot of like negative narrative around how I was going to have to live my life. Says the woman that now flies first class and goes on spa days for her training sessions and is surrounded by professionals who actually like to spend time with each other. It was challenging, but I think the reason that people often like dump on you is because there's a little bit of green-eyed monster going on.
Definitely.
That they haven't got the nerve to do it, and they're probably unhappy in their own scenario. But I really just had to turn down the dial on the narrative that was over there and turn up all of the frequency on this is working. And like, people can look now and go, oh, look at all your clients. They didn't just walk into my business overnight. I've like worked my day off to get to this point, and I have, compassionately led myself through some really challenging situations over the last 2 and a bit years. And all of that would have been so much harder to do if I was tuned in to what was happening over here, as opposed to like focusing on the horizon of where I want to be. And just being really intentional with the conversations that I was having. Like, I'm very fortunate. My mum was an entrepreneur my entire life. I have always kind of walked in the knowing that if you kind of knuckle down and do the do, it will work out.
Speaking of those challenges there, like, because as you said, it's, you know, it's not all like rosy in the garden, is it? Like what you've created, and we're going to get into that, is just incredible. But it doesn't come without its challenges. That's just the reality of it. Can you remember a wobble moment early on where, in fact, I'm saying this and I'm like, I pretty much was like there for most of it. I'm like, if she can't remember them,
You
I
want to
can.
tell me which ones.
Can you remember like any specific wobbly moment that stands out to you where you thought, this is a fucking massive mistake? What have I done? And what did you do in that moment?
So there's two really clear moments that I can remember. The first one was my very first transfer into hospital,
Okay.
which was Christmas Eve. And, you know, like that baby's coming up to 1 and that family are just so beautiful. But in the moment when you're transferring and, you know, there's a lot of narrative in the media at the minute, isn't there, in the United Kingdom about like the normal birth narrative and the
Yeah.
physiological birth uh, for all reasons.
Yeah.
Like there's something in you when you've worked with these families for as long as you have, and I can see there's people watching who I have been their midwife, and so they will know there's something in us that are so protective and so committed to your plan that when it
Yeah.
doesn't go to plan and we have to like navigate to plan C, for example,
Yeah.
you feel like as an individual, um, you've let that person down.
Mm.
And we talk about edges, don't we? Like that was my first experience of that, and I had to really come to an edge professionally and personally where, you know, I am not a miracle worker. I know lots of you think I am, but I can only provide the support that I can provide whilst working in the realms of safety, and that involves calling on my incredible colleagues when I need to,
Mm.
but doing that in a way in a hospital that I never worked in before, and an environment where people were calling me out on things that felt uncomfortable.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I had to really rise to that. And when you're sleep deprived and it's Christmas and you feel like you should be like,
Yeah, like there's a lot of judgment,
yeah,
self-judgment
yeah.
going
Like I
on.
should be stood here with a Bucks fizz in my hand, being really happy for the fact that my kids are opening all their presents under the tree. But I was just like in this other space about it. So there was that. That was one, and then professional challenges in relationship breakdowns, and when you are having to make decisions that guard the things that you have built and worked hard to build, and you are maintaining a reputation because what you stand for and what you believe in isn't necessarily what other people have or hold true to.
Yeah, yeah.
And you are having to put, in the same way that you put boundaries in place when you're a new parent, I've had to put boundaries in place for my practice to be able to uphold what I do to the standard that I do it in. And that's been
Mm.
really challenging because we know in our lives, don't we, that people come and go. Oh, I feel like I should break into song from Wicked, but I won't. Um,
Please do.
people come into our lives for certain windows of time and they move on again.
Yeah,
And I've learned as I've gotten older that that's okay.
yeah,
But when it's happening around you and you're like, you feel like you're a stranded beetle on your back and there's nothing you can do about it.
yeah.
So you fly to Santorini and drink champagne instead,
Yeah.
which is actually what I did. But it is learning that no one is going to care as much about what you're doing as you do. Even your biggest cheerleader,
Yeah,
even the person that you're paying to coach you.
because it's not their mission.
No, and this is my mission for the women that I work with, for the generations that we're changing. This is something that I have to um, set my core values for and really stick to them even when it's hard, even when you're having challenging conversations and confrontation is happening and you're having to like suck it up, buttercup, and have the chat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's not an easy road,
No. And
but
what do you do? What
it's a
did you
fulfilling
do
road.
in those moments? Like, apart from like have a low-key existential crisis for a moment, but then what do you do? Where do you go? How do you pick yourself back up again? What do you tap into?
So I've worked a lot on understanding my own capacity. So I have always been, I just get on with it kind of gal. Like that's just how, and I think that's partly generational because that's what my mum's like, and she
Yeah,
won't
yeah,
mind
yeah.
me saying that. I've just watched like my mum in her Dallas 80s shoulder pads and blue
We love
eyeliner.
your mom. She's such an
She's
icon. I always
she
say, like, I'm not like I'm showing how old I am now, but Rugrats, the Angelica's mom on Rugrats, who was on her cell phone the whole time with a big power suit on, I'm always like, that's Bailey's mom.
that is my mum. Like that is what she's like. And context people, she's now a vicar, so slight life choice change. But I watched that, and then you learn that behavior, don't you? So
Yeah.
I
For
just
better or
learned to
worse.
just spin all the plates, do all the things,
Yeah,
be
yeah.
everything to all people, and you cannot do that
No.
and do it well without having that existential crisis. So I have learned now that I cannot deal with any sort of crisis, and I'm using the word crisis really like inflammatory because
Yeah,
it's not really ever a
overarching.
crisis, but
Catch-all
like
phrase.
yeah, when it feels like all the plates need to go in the dishwasher, and there's a couple chips and cracks, I have learnt that I have to look after me
Yeah.
first, because then if I don't do that, I can't be a good mom, I can't be a good wife. I'm using the word good loosely. I can't
Yeah,
be a
yeah.
good midwife. I can't be the CEO in my business if I haven't taken the time to actually just check back in with me.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like I was thinking about it this morning, like you must have jet lag right now. I
I'm
have birth lag.
surprisingly okay, actually.
Are
I
you?
feel
Oh,
like
good.
my body is so happy to be back in Europe, honestly.
So I have birth lag. So I just supported a birth over the
We
weekend.
know that.
Like if you could look at my office right now, like the camera is strategically placed, people.
Always.
But I know that after I have been in difficult or long circumstances where I have given and given and given, I have to give back to myself.
Oh my God, yeah.
So and this is conversations that I'm now having with people who are like starting to learn from me in their own practice, which is
Yeah.
really crazy. The order has to go me, the business, the families, because without me, the business can't exist, and without the business, the families can't have the choices that they want.
That's
And can we
exactly.
all remember as well, I am doing this on my own.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I have an amazing husband. Yes, I have incredible teams, but your private midwife is the one and only Bougie Bailey currently. You know, hopefully in the future, there'll be a lovely little team of us in our pink scrubs.
Yeah.
But the business itself, you have to do the do. And in order to do the do, you have to look after yourself to be able to do it. So, you know, some bougie skincare, the occasional spa day, putting strategic women in my network
Mm-hmm.
has made a huge difference. I know there are 3 people in my network that I can pick up the phone with at any time and say, this is happening. What do I do? And it
Yeah.
might be voice note, or it might be, we call ourselves the meme queens, myself and Sarah. We send each other memes to just bolster each other. But you just have to have these little strategic bits of your team that aren't your team.
Yeah.
Because
For
whilst it is
sure.
only me, there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that have to come together to be able to do what I do to
Yeah.
protect my own sanity.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I love that. I love that. We've got such an amazing, like, community anyway, and I know that there's like little sub communities dependent on location and people who just like naturally click with each other and work together. But I do think it's one of the things that I'm most proud of when I look around at my clients, their own like sub communities that have like grown and evolved as well, so that like it's not just people having existential crisis on me. We like share the load as well, and there's like a different like element that people can bring to the table based on, you know, like someone like Sarah or Eleanor or Hannah or whoever it might be will bring their own like wisdom to that conversation as well. So I absolutely love that. So speaking of like bougie self-care and, you know, all the things, let's talk about like building this private jet midwifery vibes, right? So your packages are like some of the most bougie, well thought out, you know, offers that I've ever had the pleasure of seeing and watching develop and grow and refine and all of those stuff. How did you like decide, right, this is not going to be standard, it is going to be like detailed, it's going to be curated? I know that's something that you like talk about a lot, curated care. What made you decide, right, that's where I'm going with this?
I've always been a little bit on the luxurious side of life, shall we say?
Yeah.
As I sit here in my sweatpants and slippers.
I mean, yes.
Um, I am looking to my left and looking at all my skincare lined up on the shelf here. So I have always liked the little extras, like the carved out moments of my day. So the nice feeling moisturizer that I use before I go to bed at night, the fancy toothbrush that we've chosen to treat ourselves to, the nice coffee that I can wake up to, and just having those. We talk about glimmers, don't we? Those little moments of the day. And I kind of thought about, I would like to incorporate those in some way into the practice that I have, because I can do midwifery with my eyes closed, pretty much, give or take, depending on the day. But what I wanted the families that I'm working with to feel like is when I'm with them, they are the center, the VIP, the main character of this experience. And that comes with those little touch points along the way.
Yeah.
They're not massive things. Like this, I'm not reinventing the wheel here, people. This is just extra touch points. So things like they get some personalized skincare helps that I have access to that. They get a birthday card after their baby's arrived. They are invited to be in my backstage broadcast so they can lean on other people, which has been completely silent for the last 2 months because I've been absolutely bombed with births. Anybody who's watching who's in that, please can you prompt me? But just those little touch points. And then like you've just said about creating community, I can look after individuals and they could all be these little satellites revolving around the Your Private Midwife brand, but I am not for that life because I really believe that it takes a village.
Yeah.
So being able to connect these families up in ways that is going to give them longevity has been another part of that. So there's that, but there's also like, I just want to love on people. Like my love language, if you've done anything about love language, my love language is words of affirmations and gifts of.
Me too.
And I am like, I'm constantly like checking in on people, even people that I'm not due to see for visits or that I'm already on the way to discharging. Like I'm just checking in and making sure that they're feeling okay in themselves, and bringing other people into that mix that can really like love on them.
Yeah.
Has been really important to me because it just carves out this pathway. Like, I know we talk about women being goddesses in their birth space, but I think that should just be like peppered throughout the experience. And that has just been something that I've incorporated into what I do.
I love that.
Simply, really simple. It's not big. It's just it's part of my identifier.
So with that in mind, thinking about your packages and stuff like that, at any point did you have any guilt or mindset drama around prices and charging properly for midwifery care when ultimately I'm saying it all and I'm like, kind of know the answer to this one. When like ultimately, certainly in the backdrop of the UK maternity services, people are used to it being quote unquote free. So answer yes. How did you work through that? Tell us about that.
That's one of the hardest things that I've done over the last 2 years, is knowing what I do has so much more value than what I think it has. And it really helps now that I have proof of that from families going, you didn't charge us enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what? Sorry, you've just paid me like £6,000 to look pretty in your section. That is not what I did. Like in my world, that's what I did, but I transformed their experience.
Sorry to interrupt you. I actually think that you and I coined the phrase transformational and not transactional. I remember saying it to you. I was like, stop looking at your packages as a fucking shopping list of transactions. What you offer does not compare to what is offered in the NHS. It is not NHS care is transactional. This is transformational.
And I can see that now because I've like literally turned people's worlds, not me, their choices, but me supporting their choices has turned their world upside down for the better. Some might say not in certain moments, but when you look at the carnage after a birth, stuff everywhere. But yeah, that was a big thing. So like, let's go right back to when I first started with you.
Yeah.
I was charging maybe £5,500 to £6,000 for my full care package, and I was working with these families for a year because like some people were booking me as they did the pregnancy tests, and I do 4 to 6 weeks of postnatal care with multiple different professionals pieced into that, and I was literally coming out with like nothing.
Yeah.
And thinking, what am I doing all this work for? And like, there's no bankrolling going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I put my prices up the first time. I was like, oh, that feels really uncomfortable. Because when I put my prices up, I was then the most expensive independent midwife outside of London. That felt like, who the hell do I think I am? And then I realised that I can serve better when my prices are higher because I can lean on other people. I can pay myself well. And the people who are coming to me are the people who are prepared to invest in themselves. And so I don't have to spread myself thin between however many other clients.
Yeah, exactly.
To just make ends meet. Also, can we just rewind back? My husband had just left his job.
Yeah.
So for the first 7 months of me doing what I do, I was bankrolling both of us. So maybe that's why I didn't feel like there was a dollar. But I couldn't have carried on doing that if I'd have just stayed the same. And then I remember sending you this the other day, and if Tori is still watching, she's probably going to laugh. When I posted and sent you the message that like, look at me being excited for myself at £6,500 booking a full birth package, and now I won't get out of bed for less than 8.
Yeah.
And I put my prices up since that. So
yeah.
And I can see like the people that I work with now, they are fully invested from the day that they sign on the dotted line. They want to do the work. They want to learn. They want to go to things I'm recommending, like chiropractic care, or they want to connect with somebody else who has had that birth experience that can speak to them, so they've got proof. They are asking all the questions, getting involved in the community, rather than bartering their way down to get the bare minimum. Me being overworked and underpaid, I might as well stay in the NHS if I wanted to carry on working that way.
Yeah, exactly.
And it is an absolute delight to support these women because they are fully invested.
They get it.
They get it.
They get it.
They get it. And I was the same. That was me 8 years ago when, you know, independent midwifery wasn't as big as a need as it is now.
Yeah.
When 8 years ago, I was going to do the work because I was putting my money where my mouth was. So I was going to do it.
It like so many parallels with the people that I work with in one-to-one and in the 6%. Like they just get it. They absolutely get it, and there's no kind of doubt. I'm not saying there's never any doubts, but they are not just invested financially, they're invested like on every single level. They've made a decision. This is going to work. I want this to happen. They don't doubt themselves, you know, everyone doubts themselves from time to time, but they believe faster than they doubt, right? They trust faster than they doubt. And they're just, like chef's kiss, just like you, obviously.
And I was just about to say that. I am modeling that behavior.
Exactly.
So,
like everything, like if people just fucking did the things that they tell other people to do, they would have such a different experience. All of these fucking doulas and midwives going, why don't people want to pay? They don't understand the value of it. Why won't they invest? And I'm like, can we just talk about what you're invested in yourself? That you're just scratching around doing all the free shit and not like taking a risk, but you want them to do it. Hello, like talk about contradiction.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's like asking your kids to apologize for something, but you're not prepared to apologize for your own behavior.
Exactly. Like, it just doesn't add up. And what I've seen over and over again is it's 11-11 here. The people that are the doulas and the midwives that are literally focusing on looking at what their messages are within their business and doing all of those things themselves. You get to say no. Don't say no to anything. Boundaries. no, fucking boundaries shot to shit. You're worthy of support. Never, ever give themselves any kind of support. It's an absolute joke,
And
honestly.
one thing and I touched on this before, I invested in coaching for my business before I'd even booked my first
That's
client.
what I'm saying. It's like, uh, you
And I
were
get it.
like,
I get that there's no money in the bank, people. I understand that. And Lisa will tell you, we've had many a conversation around then, there's no money coming in. And then when I like have a word with myself, oh, look, 2 clients have booked. You have to ride the wave because it's never ever linear. It's just not. That is not the life
people
that we
need to
live.
just get used to that. If you want
Yeah,
a bit, but they want the business, they want the spoils, they want the good shit
yeah.
without the bad shit, without the risk, without riding the waves. The sun's coming in to shine on me, like, oh.
I'm in Yorkshire and it's miserable.
They want the payback
Yeah,
without
yeah,
putting in what is required, and what is required is to move before you feel ready,
yeah.
to do things like to do things courageously before you feel confident, because the confidence comes after the courage. And also, just like on a basic level, it's like, what kind of a business person honestly believes that, well, somebody that's entitled, I'll answer my own question, believes that they are just entitled to clients and they're just entitled to all of this stuff without putting in the hard yards. Like, most startups fail within 18 months. And a lot of the time it's because they have not invested, they have not plowed back in. Like, what brick and mortar business is not buying stock, is not fitting their shop out, is not getting market, having, looking at what their marketing budget is getting support, learning the things. There's so much entitlement out there, but I also think it's not always everybody's fault, because I think there's also a lot of people that are selling a dream without the tools to get to that dream, kind of thing, which is obviously a whole other story for another day. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. This is just my massive beef, full stop. So private jet midwifery, let's have a look. So we have talked about, let's have a look. So, like, how did you land on the pricing? Was there a point where you just realized you were done undercharging, or how, like, I suppose that's kind of what we were just talking about in many respects.
I started to realize the kinds of clients that were booking me.
I remember this.
So I have incredible, incredible clients who are literally prepared to beg, borrow, and steal to be able to afford to work with me. And I
That's
know,
basically me. That's what
yeah,
I'm like. I'm like, right, how do we make it happen so we get the thing
yeah.
that's going to get me to where I want to be?
Also, I'd like to just put a little bit of extra fluff into this conversation. I also do pro bono work. So I get a lot of people that will say to me, oh, it's all right for you because you work with people who've got money. Let's just park that. I don't just work with people who've got money. I serve my community. I work with families who can't afford to work with me because I
Just
have.
because you're not shouting about it.
Yeah,
This is what people think about me as well. And I'm like,
yeah,
the amount of free support that I give out
yeah.
behind the scenes, but I don't need someone to give me a fucking cookie to say, well done, Lisa. I just do it quietly behind
Or
the
a
scenes.
pin badge. Get
I
a pin
don't
badge.
I don't need a star, thanks. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
need a
thanks.
sticker for my star chart. I just
Yeah,
do it knowing that it's all part of the ecosystem, and the
yeah.
people that are able to, like, invest in, like, the top things and the whatever, they actually are part of helping people
Yes.
who can't.
And you ask any entrepreneur or any self-employed person, that is part of their business model.
Yeah.
I don't know a single person that I've worked with in the last 2 years who's got money who doesn't give back in one way or
Yeah.
another. Anyway, completely digress there.
Yeah.
The original question. I can remember walking into somebody's house who I had booked and being like, "Oh my God, these are the clients that they've got the dollar,
They've
they've
got the
got
resources.
they're bankrolling the things that they need, and I'm part of that. I am part of what they need to continue their lifestyle without trauma, without coercion, without like waiting for 4 hours for an appointment that could have been an email. Like, I am a part of that ecosystem. And in any other country, people budget for care like I'm prepared to give, or they are paying for their healthcare in another format.
Yeah.
I think in the UK, again, we go back to this, but it's free. Yeah, it is, but it's not, because we're paying for it in our taxes.
Exactly.
And that's not to say that you should stop paying your taxes and pay me, because you will get in trouble. But
Yeah.
I think walking into people's spaces who have booked me and sitting with them eyeball to eyeball, where I have expertise in something that they don't, and those people will pay for that expertise.
Exactly.
And they want you to be the person that fills that space for this moment of their life.
Yeah.
And if I can sit toe to toe with CEOs of massive corporations and people who have got property all over the world and people who are investing in things that I would never dream of and who are flying first class all over the globe, and they want me to be their care provider sat here in my Primani twin set, like, and my ratty slippers, like, if they're choosing me, that's because they want to invest in the kind of care that I have a track record of giving.
Yeah, totally. I love that.
And that just creates this cyclical, like, relational thing, because this is not about me being the top dog and telling them what to do. If anything, it's the other way around. They're in charge, and I'm going to provide you with all of my expertise and knowledge and safety and ability.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you invest in that?
Yeah, exactly.
If you can.
Yeah, totally. Have you had to say no to people or opportunities that on paper either looked great or would have been a really, like, you know, made sense for the business in order to, like, protect your standards of care, your peace, your boundaries, your energy? Talk to us about saying no.
Okay, we'll go back to the existential crisis, shall we? Do you remember the first time I ever said no to somebody? The first time I ever said, so, like, if somebody, my full care package is £10,000, £50.
And also, like, can we also just remind anybody that is coming into this and didn't catch it at the beginning, this is a reformed, recovering good girl over here as well.
My parents are vicars, people. There is no, like, I was brought up in the church. You do as you're told.
Exactly.
You conform, and you wear the wear, and you do the do. So, like, I can't even remember what we were talking about then.
You were saying my packages.
Oh, yeah.
At this point, for context.
Yeah, so my packages right now, so my full care package is £10,000. If you find me after 34 weeks and you want a birth only package, it's only 1,500 quid cheaper.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So get organised, people.
Get organised, yes. If somebody dangled the carrot in front of you, and, like, I see familiar faces on this call, you can't tell me because I know you, I've sat in coffee shops with you. If somebody offered you £10,000, how easy is it to say no? It's really hard to say that doesn't work for me in my circumstances. I can't say yes to that without either compromising myself or compromising you and your care.
Yeah.
And this is not the kind of care relationship that is ever going to be conducive to success. And that was really hard. So the first time I did it was summer of last year, when we went on the first time my kids have ever been abroad, and I had 3 inquiries for the months that we would be. Those of you who don't work in midwifery, you're on call from 37 weeks till whenever they have their baby. That's a minimum of 5 weeks if they go over. Yeah. That's a lot of time that you have to carve out. And I said no to 3 clients for the summer last year and signposted them to other midwives. And you know what? That has come back in droves, like cyclical giving and referring to other people.
Yeah.
The universe has sent me more, so much more, so many more people. I put my prices up, more people were inquiring. For me, it's when you say no and hold space for that, you have to then trust that because you protected yourself and that family, ultimately, the world goes, she's a good egg. We'll give her some more.
We're all about that karma life, aren't we? We're all
Yeah, yeah,
about that energetic exchange.
yeah.
We're all about like the void, not being the void, not being the abyss, but actually being space for other things to come in. And when you like consciously and voluntarily put yourself into a void by saying no to something, or you just find yourself in a place where it feels like, okay, it's quieter, it's about like what you actually do with that space energetically and practically will, I believe, make things, well, not I believe, I know makes things like move faster,
Yeah.
because you just become like this match for the next thing that's coming in.
And I've like I was having this conversation with another midwife the other day about how my inquiries have been quite quiet over the last 2 months. And then I went, oh wait, hang on a minute. I had 5 births in 10 days.
Yeah, yeah,
I missed 3 of them.
yeah,
And I've just had another birth over the weekend.
yeah,
I have no universal capacity
yeah.
to take
Exactly.
anybody else on right now and serve them well. Like that is just I can't do that, so it's
No.
not going to come. And I joked about it, didn't I, when we first started? I'm in the Velcro void. Like I
Yeah.
was stuck in this place where like nobody was inquiring, and it was really like frictiony, and I hated it. And you had said to me, so what are you going to do about it? Like what can you do about it? And I've just realized I'm just gonna have to like white knuckle this season and do all the background stuff whilst I've got the time to do the background
Yeah.
stuff. And lo and behold, I did the work in the background, and then bing, 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 all these
Yeah.
people start coming.
Exactly.
And I can look around now because I have proof that it works and that there's always going to be people further down the pipeline. I can see that because I'm 2, 3 years down the track. When you're first starting, you can't see that. You think it's like we take it personally. We think it's us. So you have to do the work on you and all the
Yeah.
time that you have to work on the background stuff and do the CEO stuff whilst you've got the time to do it.
Yeah, definitely. So you are now very much not just visible, but actually like installed in the zeitgeist as the private midwife, the independent midwife in your region.
Mm-hmm.
Did that feel like natural, like in terms of like the visibility and all the rest of it? Or did you have to grow into that identity?
I have grown into that. I know you all think that I've been dicking about on Instagram in my pink scrubs from day one. Scroll back, people. Like, you can see the evolution of the identity that I've had, and it hasn't been easy. And where I live, and because Lisa was a doula here, like the home birth community, the independent community in Yorkshire, the doula community is big. People
Yeah.
want us. And to step out and go, do you know what? I'm going to price myself out of all the other providers in the area and take on more clients than other people are prepared to take on and live a bit vicariously by the fact that I know everything always works out for me. That felt really stretchy and really uncomfortable. And again, I have incredible colleagues who I work with and alongside that enable me now to do that. Um, but it was just like stepping up. Like I was thinking about it when I was in the gym the other day. You could just carry on like comfortably lifting what you lift, but if you don't like up the kilos at some point, you're never going to get stronger.
No.
You have to do, and my husband was talking about this with his mountain biking. I say that like he is an avid mountain biker. We've learned every time he goes away mountain biking, somebody goes into labor. So now my clients ask when sand biking because they can predict when they're going to go into labor. Then he talks about it with like being able to stretch the capacity and reach for further distances or
Yeah.
higher when he's doing jumps. You have to do the groundwork to do that, but you also just have to trust that it is going to happen.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen if you don't actually take the leap to make
Exactly.
it.
Yeah. I love it. Right, we've got a couple of minutes. We need to wrap this up, otherwise Instagram is not going to save this whole live and it's been too
Let's go, let's go.
So what do you want every midwife, doula or coach, because those are the people that I work with, ambitious by the way, not just any midwife, not just any doula, not just any coach, but the ambitious as fuck ones. What do you want any of those people who are watching this now to take away from your story? Do it in 1 minute flat.
You need to invest in yourself, trust that you are the creator of all of your circumstances, and that the world, God, source, universe, whatever you lean on, absolutely has a path laid out for you. But you have to trust that what you are doing is for the greater good, and your mission is so much bigger than what you think it is in your little tiny microclimate. I am literally transforming generations by doing the work that I do. And seeing 85 people surrounding me when we had our reunion last year
Yeah.
was proof. I have the proof. Let me be your proof if that's what you do.
Borrow the
Borrow my
proof. That's
brave.
what you had to do. Like,
Yeah.
everybody just comes and borrows the proof. I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
amazing. So if you are watching this live and thinking, I want all of this for me, you're a midwife, you're a coach, you're a doula, whatever, I want my own private jet experience in my business. She is literally, this woman is a walking case study of my thoughts, my work, my strategies, like everything. She is like top of the class, star pupil. Like, she's done it. Like, she's literally done it, doing it. And this is just the fucking beginning for her. So if you love what we've been talking about in here, then you need to get on my Black Friday waitlist, because I never do sales. I don't do sales. I don't discount my stuff, but I am doing a proper Black Friday sale, never been done before. You either need to comment below VIP, or you can just DM me VIP and I will get you on that list. It's opening early because there are limited spots on certain things. And like I say, I rarely do stuff like this. I'm just making sure I don't forget anything. If you want first access, you need to get on that list, because a lot of the stuff will go before we are done and dusted, and then it will be opening to the public. It will open to the waitlist on Friday. It will open to the public the following Monday. I fully anticipate a lot of the things will just be sold out anyway. And this woman has gone through all of those programs. She has
Every one of them. I have been there.
She's done everything. She's absorbed everything. She has implemented everything. And so if you want a bit of this in your life, that's what you need to do. All right, my darlings, it has been so good. I love you so much. I'll speak to you as per usual in the usual places. And thank you for coming to this live. If you loved it, give us a heart, and drop VIP if you want to be on that wait list. All right, my darlings, love you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.